Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast. What's up, loved ones? What is up? What it do? What it do? Today I'm super pumped and ecstatic. Man, there's so many thoughts running through my mind at the very moment, and I'm just happy and ecstatic and pumped up for today's episode as I get myself fully acquainted with the arrangement of my seating and go through some other settings. We are on time. We are on time. Yes. So let me just do this right here so I can see this. Pop that out the way. Got my laptop over here. So I'm trying some new things. Um, I have a laptop, so I don't have to just read off my notepad. So I'm actually gonna invest in another iPad or something. So when I actually do the formal way of doing our podcast, I will have another computer or laptop that I can actually work off of at the same time as we still do our thing right here in real time. So I just take notes or whatever I need to do from this laptop is why I got it here at this very moment. So I can be a little bit more on topic as well, just in the near future, just have some level of structure to how we do our thing. So that's why I have it here at the very moment. We are live right now on YouTube, Instagram, StreamYard, all of these beautiful, dope platforms. And I always love to start out with a wellness check. How is everybody out there doing at this very moment spiritually? Um, how did your day go? Was it one of uh something that was thought provoking? Was it one of learning? Was it one of caring, giving? Was it one of stress? Was it one of uh some level of despair? Who knows? I don't know what your day consists of. Hopefully it was great. Was it one of bliss, happiness? Was it thought provoking? Was it all of these different things that your day could possibly be? I would love to know how your day went and how is it going as of right now. I know mine is going pretty well. Although we also have setbacks during the course of our days and our lives, but we know that it's not the end, right? If we are seeing this in real time, that means that we can do something about these things that we come up against. So I'm just doing a quick wellness check to see how everybody's doing, right? Get this. I feel like a DJ when they have the DJ booth set up and they have their laptop over here, you got the soundboard over here, and all these other things. I feel uh pretty like techie at the moment. What's dope? Just a fun fact. I always wanted to be a DJ. That was one of my professions that I thought I was gonna get myself into because I love music, and I always felt myself like being in the midst of some level of music besides composing and being an artist. I thought I would always be a DJ. What I used to do when I was younger, fun fact is that I used to draw like a DJ turntable setup on paper. And what I used to do is that right in the middle of the turntable on the paper, right in the middle, I will have different genres of music, different, rap, pop, country, etc. And I will actually list some of the records that I will have on it. Quay, what's up, loved one? I will actually have the records placed. I say, okay, here's Biggie. So I'll be like, it was all a dream. I would act as if I'm playing the remix on the turntable on the scratch board. I will play and click on another record and sing and harmonize the other record. It was dope. So I had a pretty creative mind at that time when I was younger. So I always thought that there's nothing that was off the table when it came to creativity, when it came to music, etc. So I felt that's one of the areas and one of the spaces I felt like a kid, still do. I feel super pumped up when I hear music and I see people DJing and rapping and doing those things. I love music. That's one of my passions too. That I'll still get back into because I do have a lot of music as well that I have unreleased. And I will release that at some time. So be prepared for that in the near future as we get this thing and this ball rolling with podcast setting and doing all these innovative things when it comes to podcasting. I also want to be able to introduce the music at some point in time, even if it's just placing it on my soundboard, some intro music, etc. But we definitely get back into the music some way. That's just a fun fact. But like I'm saying, I feel like a DJ with all these other pieces of equipment around me, which is pretty dope. Different for me in the sense of having it in real time, like all of the components. But overall, I feel like techie. I feel techie. So, Quay, how you feeling today, Quay? How you doing out there today, sis? Hopefully your day is going well. Lizzie, how your day going out there, Lizzie? Yeah, pretty dope. We got a dope um episode today. Today we're going to be talking about milestones. I'm pumped, right? And I keep saying pumped because it's just my word of being ecstatic, being just happy, and really turned up for the subject matter at hand. Today we're talking about milestones. And today, I'm super ecstatic that we are on our 25th episode. Hold up. Yes. We are on our 25th, 2 5 episode of the Respectfully Great podcast. I remember when this episode was uno, the very first one. Quay says, Hola, I'm great. Yes, bring your music back. Absolutely, sis. You know, I got to put that thing into play, put that thing into motion, put that back into the ethos. Gotta bring that music back out. Nothing like some good music. Everybody listen to all different genres of music, and music does a lot of things for different people. I know just hearing music that I like, it just brings me to a place, a time, and there's so many things I can go off of when I hear music. It brings so many memories back, and I think that's what draws the connection to certain records, to certain sounding music, to a time and a place. Okay, when you hear, for me, ideally, when I hear the Diplomats or Dipset, I remember there was a point in time where you know it was an era of just a vibrant, um, eclectic, fashionable, trendy music. That's what they brought to the element when it's the Rough Riders, and it was just the climate was just different. And at the time, just bring back different memories about that time. And I feel like our lives, right, our daily lives, it's we always are playing the tune to our livelihood. There's always a soundtrack to our livelihood. There are times, there are places, there are environments where we are occupied, and there was some set of a soundtrack to how your life was going. Sometimes that soundtrack could be, okay, this is the soundtrack of sorrow. Even though ideally we don't want to bring that type of energy into it, but we all have our ups and our downs. This is the soundtrack of sorrow. This is the soundtrack of happiness. This is the soundtrack of confusion. This is the soundtrack of um, innovation. This is the soundtrack of X, Y, and Z. And I feel like when we go through things in our lives, we start hitting different levels of milestones, and we be able to um, pinpoint some of those lessons within it. Before I get any further, I want to be able to highlight the subject matter and what we're going to get into as of today. Milestones. Milestones aren't just boxes you check, they're battles you fight. The pain is real, the proof is in the scars, the promise keeps you chasing, and the plan reveals who you become. This episode breaks down the conflicts, lessons, and hidden meaning behind every goal you set. Let's unpack the real journey of hitting milestones. Absolutely, that's what we're doing today. We're going to tap into milestones. Ellie, what's up, loved one? Compatible uh, consultants are in the building. What's up, loved ones? Great webinar on Sunday. I'm super proud, super ecstatic. There's so many gems you guys have dropped within that. Can't wait for the next one. Can't wait till we all be in there and asking all those crazy, wild questions, but ultimately getting the lessons that we need to learn about our finances, how we can grow that bag, because we need that money, y'all. We need that money to get us to places that we thought we never could reach because of finances. And I think that's one thing that we help our community with when we talking about literacy, financial literacy, having those elements brought into our daily conversations in our household and with our friends and our families, because this is part of it that I know that I wasn't privy to when I was, coming up. I always had the conversation about getting the bag, but not in the context of utilizing and leveraging the credit aspect. So I think what you guys are doing is super dope. You guys got a great team. It's full of loved ones. It's full of hard work and discipline. And I commend you guys on the hard work and seeing what you guys are doing out there. I see it, and I know other people do as well because they are in those buildings. They are in those rooms. Give a round of applause to compatible consultants. Yes, 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 yes. So, talking about milestones today. Today's our 25th episode of the Respectfully Great podcast. Super dope. We are a quarter away of the 100 mark. What I learned about 100th episode, it's when you do radio and stuff, they talk, and when you do television and things like that, the 100th episode is a big milestone, because they talk about syndication and all these things, and how it's very pivotal, enabled in order to reach that level of episodes within TV, advertisement. All these other things have so much built in around being able to hit 100th episode on some genre of television, sitcom, etc. And one of the things that I'm learning about this game, if I don't say anything else, it's about the levels of commitment and understanding that it's really a marathon. Thank you, family. We see you out here too. Absolutely, loved one. You know we out here doing what we got to do. One thing that I'm learning about this field in general, and one thing that I think is really universal, is about the levels of discipline in the unfamiliar territories that we put ourselves in. I think it's a beautiful thing when you're coming up against things that you're unfamiliar with, but you see so much growth. You learn so much about you. I can go on and on about some of the things that I've learned, and you know what? I think I'm going to do um another video also breaking down some of the things that I've learned coming up to the 25th episode. I can tell you about some of the things that I had misconstrued, some of the things that I was naive about, the ups, downs. One thing I'm really intrigued about is algorithm. I'm doing a lot of studying through trial and error, just throwing whatever at the wall, seeing what sticks. And I started to develop some level of insight about, checking the data, being more familiar with some of those metrics on the back end, right? Like almost like considered admin work, right? But being more or less, and what's up, loved one? Being more inside of your business, or you're inside your field of expertise. And these are some of the components and some of the areas where we tend to neglect at times. What I mean is that we often be in a field or a genre or doing a particular thing, and we only know surface level, right? And although we can operate and we can be really successful at um surface level, but what happens when you take a little bit deeper step, or a closer look, or a deeper insight about the thing that you're interested in? And when I started to learn about this world of uh podcasting, YouTube, uh all of these things where it comes to content creation, I'm learning so much about the back end, the metrics, the data, who's paying attention, who's watching, who's interested, male, female, age, um, origin, where they're from, environment, uh, stylistic. There's so many other components that I'm watching and paying attention to, and it all adds up to um, this game that we are playing, right? Which is the marathon game. If we're playing that marathon game, meaning that we're going to run this race until the race, the race actually got us, right? Until we crawling across the finish line. We are going to that level of distance. We're not going around one time, initially starting the one lap, but we intend to keep going and going and going. I heard something from what's the gentleman name? I think from Atomic Habits, or The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg. So it's Charles Duhigg and James Clear. James Clear did Atomic Habits. Charles Duhigg did The Power of Habit. And one of the two had mentioned it. Can't recall who, but one of them has said that um, someone that is someone that intends to be consistent or doing a thing, um, there's never a stopping moment, right? Meaning that, like, the one time that you stop, that's where the inconsistency breaks. Now, of course, we're not that hard on ourselves, but the level of being consistent at a thing, meaning that you're going to do this with or without, day in, day out, continuously. So you have to have the mindset that I'm not going to stop. Ultimately, I'm going to keep running the race. I'm going to keep doing the thing until there's no point of return, until I can't do it anymore. That's the level of consistency that I know that I want to acquire within my life. And I know that there's so many things that you can acquire, great things in your life as well, just by being able to show up and be consistent at the thing. And one thing that I'm learning about these milestones and running these marathons is that there's so much things that we able to acquire along the journey. And the journey is really the levels of success that you're going to reach. Of course, at the end, you get all of the, the fruits of your labor. And that when you actually get the fruits of your labor, it's just the testament of the work that you already put in. So when you see people celebrating the win, understand that their win was coming along with the losses during the process to get to that point. And that's one of the things I want to be able to get real familiar with, even here in the space that we all occupy, is being able to do the job continuously and not falling short because of whatever intricacies that may come about during the course of this journey. In life always has its ups and its downs, but somehow you just see some people be so resilient and still be able to get up and continue the journey. There's so many things that's going to happen along our journey, things that may be super discouraging. What happens in those moments? Let me just ask this question in general. Have you ever been discouraged? Anybody in the chat? I would love to know. Have you ever been discouraged when you saying, "Hey, I'm going out there and I'm gonna try this thing"? Have you ever got discouraged along your journey? And I would love to know. You can, by a show of in the chat, say yes. Give me the actual instance where this happened, and you felt this type of, you know, this pain, hurt, disdain. If you felt this, like, hey, my mind is spinning. This point right here, it just feels super confusing. Just don't know what to do. Have you ever felt like that? If so, I would love to know when and how, and more or less, we get to the point of how did you get over that thing? I most definitely did. Wow, Lizzie, please tell me. Give me some, give me some insight on what happened along this discouragement. It could be anything. You don't have to be career wise. It could be just a thought. Maybe, what I hear a lot of times about um regular individuals meeting their idols. They say it's a funny thing when you come up and you actually want to meet your idol, because everything that you thought about that person, this is where we get into idol worship. So we really don't want to um idol worship people, because people are human. Like us in general, we all are human beings, meaning that we all can be treated equal with the same level of respect. We don't put people above yourself. We don't put you below them or vice versa. We don't want to do those things because people are human. But when you look at somebody that you idolize, or you've seen somebody at some point in time, what's up, Tatum? What's up, loved one? We have seen somebody at some point in time where you looked up to them. And it could be somebody in your neighborhood, it could be somebody on television, somebody that you just admired, or you say, hey, this individual right here, I just like them when they do X, Y, and Z. It could be a sport, it could be an athlete, it could be whoever. And a lot of times when I hear people tell these stories about meeting their favorite person, it wasn't all crapped up what it was supposed to be. It was pretty much let down because of how that interaction happened, or what transpired during that initial greeting. Peace and love, brother. Have a blessed day. You too, sis. For that initial interaction. So we talk about these things, right? Prime example, we have a legend that just passed when it came to wrestling, Hulk Hogan. I remember when I was super intrigued with wrestling. I would watch the him go in the ring and fight my favorite wrestler of all time. It's two of them, Ultimate Warrior and Psycho Sid was my guys. But when he would be in his ring, Hulk Hogan himself, he looked like the top of the world, of the wrestling world, just even in just social, right? Somebody that just was idolized. So many people reenacted his Hulkamania, buying the toys. We wrestled. I remember going to my aunt's house, my aunt Sharon's house, and all my cousins, we would be in there flipping. We doing backflips and punching holes through the wall. Sharon used to go crazy on the guards. We was there flipping, doing backflips, wrestling, and it used to be crazy. Shout out to my cousin Todd too, because when his favorite wrestler was Razor Ramon. But what he used to do is he used to get us in submissions and really feel like he gonna break our arms or our legs. It was crazy, but it's still a wonderful time. So what I'm saying though, although is um when we meet some of these people, we get let down, right? For whatever reason. Some interactions, not all, but some. And what it draws me to is that when when we hit like Hulk Hogan, him as instance, him being this big figure in the world in society, he had said some comments about his daughter dating um a black man, right? He had all these stipulations on what he says. Hey, in order for my daughter to um be with a black man, a black male, etc., he has to have $100 million. He has to be such and such height. He had all of these different criterias, right, in order to be suitable to come to his house or eat at the dinner table per se. So a lot of backlash in the media because it's like, wait, hold up, this dude, this is what the people are saying, that this dude is, borderline racist, etc. So when we hear these type of comments, because he actually said them, right, and they have audio, so it wasn't speculation. This is actual, you know, commentary that the man and gentleman has said himself, Hulk Hogan. He said it. It is what it is. But he got a lot of backlash for it. So what I'm saying is that along our journey, we can come up against some things where we be a little bit discouraged because we thought that one thing was a particular way and it wasn't. I use the personnel in this instance, but I'm asking you, is there a point of time where you were discouraged about a particular thing? Was it going to a concert where you said, okay, this music, this person, I like the music. I was let down because it wasn't all cracked up to be. Or I went to a sporting event, or I went had an interaction with family members or friends, or whatever it may be. I know that for me, there's so many instances where um along this journey where I had some discouragement, where I felt like, man, how can I continue to go on? And these are the things I love to expound about here today, about these milestones, because all of us are setting milestones ahead of ourselves, not really knowing that, oh, we got these big goals and we know that we want to reach them. But in the moment when you on step one, how do you see step 100? How is that possible? The only way to get there ideally is just showing up to do the job. And these are one of this is one of the things that I've learned along my journey and process, is that whether I'm prepared or not prepared, I have no choice but to get in the water and swim. And these are some of the things that I think about along my journey to get me to where I'm at in my life in general. There's so many things that I've experienced in my past that were life lessons, because I look at them all as life lessons. Some things are still confusing to me. Some things I still am sure about. Some things I embrace and still want to hold on to, even though I know they may not be the best for me, because we all have some level of, vices, insecurities. We're all dealing with self, and sometimes it get kind of difficult to deal with oneself because we get in our own way. And unbeknownst to us, it can be some things that we're not even aware of. So first, we got to be able to bring up our awareness to know what's going on out there, what's going on with me, what's going on with my environment, what's going on with the people, how are my interactions. I had a beautiful conversation with my nephew today, and he does a lot of things where um he brings so much fulfillment to me, and he teach me so much about having some levels of emotional intelligence. And uh we don't add family business, but me talking to him as a young gentleman, right, we just had dialogue and disagreement, and he did something. I walked in the kitchen, came back in the kitchen, and what he did was he just got up and just hugged me. And I'm like, yo, this dude is just like, he amazes me, man. He amazes me in so many ways, man. I swear. And this ain't the first time. There's times where I fell into his arms as the little guy, and I got my nephew by 15 years, almost 20 years, and he came and put my head under his armpit and like, my guy is gonna be okay. And I'm sitting back and I'm like, wow, there's so many things that I'm learning through the people that I'm around, my loved ones, my nephews, nieces, friends, family, all of these things. I'm taking these lessons in and I'm learning from them. And I know that along your journey, there's so many gems that you can share with your loved ones, with our community, with the people you come in contact with your businesses, with your relationships. There's so many things that your children are going to teach you, so many things that you may learn from your coworkers, your business partners. Just having a regular interaction with somebody in the streets. Let me tell you what else is super profound. And I love to give these stories and backstories because these things impact me. And I want to be able to um help in ways to where sometimes we go through our experiences daily where we can find the small things that matter. Because I know there's so many things that we overlook. We always look for the big win along our journey for this marathon. We always looking for the big W. Where's the big win gonna come from? Nah, I need $1 million. But we're not taking in consideration that every dollar count, every thought counts, because it's an added incentive to the thing that we're trying to accomplish. So prime example, I was in the mall the other day, and I'm gonna show you how things just compound and things get paid forward. I was in the mall the other day, and I was conversing with a gentleman that's working in the sneaker store. So honestly, I was in the sneaker store and I wasn't buying no sneakers. I'm keeping it 1,000. I walked in there, my feet was hurting. I was, hold on, man, I've been walking around this mall type crazy. I was waiting on some things to get finished in production, because I was doing some clothing items, getting some things tested, etc. So I'm in the mall waiting. And then I said, you know what? Let me go get some snack on. Went, got a pretzel, sat down, and got a drink from, what's it called? The Chick-fil-A. So I got one of the drinks, one of the beverages from Chick-fil-A. So I sit down, I'm in the sneaker store. So I see the homie got mad enamel pins on his key, on his what is it? The keychain? Yeah, on his keychain, whatever, mad enamel pins. So I end up seeing one of the pins that I was going to purchase myself. So I said, yo, man, you got some dope pins over there. I said, yo, I also see the MF Doom one, which is super, super fire. That joint is dope. He's like, yeah, man. I said, I seen it online. I just haven't gotten it yet. I seen it for $15 on eBay. He said, $15? I said, yeah. He said, yo, man, I got this off Temu for 30 cents. And I'm like, wait, what? He said, yeah, bro, I got this for 30 cents. I said, wow, that's crazy. Finish conversing, doing our thing. My man spin off, come back. I finished eating my pretzel, walking out the door. As I'm walking out the door, my brother did the hezzy. He was like, yo, come here. So I said, what's up? Opened my hand. He passed off the enamel pin. If I had my hat here, Lizzie, can you grab my hat off the table? I'm gonna show you the pin that my brother had got me, right? Which I'm super, super pumped. So long story short, he ended up giving me the enamel pin. And he said, yo, don't worry about it, man. He said, you have more use for it than I would. And I want to shout out this brother because things just work out in funny ways. And I feel like giving, grace in real time. So here's the enamel pin, the MF Doom John, right? I don't know if you can see it in the camera. But yeah, so yeah, here it is. So I want to give a shout out because the brother name is Matt. So I'm gonna give a big shout out to Matt from Blessing the God with this enamel pen. And I want to say that this is how life works when we come up, just holding conversation. We don't know what it may come of just being able to hold simple dialogue. Not saying that you're looking for something in return, but there are really, really good people out there that is willing to pay things forward. Once we be able to share our ideas. And that's what I learned in that moment about this marathon and how we're going to continue to be on our path is that we can take small instances, interactions, people, places, and things and add this to purpose. We can constantly create purpose out of our interactions when we come up against people, places, and things and environments. So what he did was he sparked something else in me in order to pay that forward. So that day, I made it my mission to go out there and serve in another way when I wasn't consciously thinking about it in the moment because I didn't see nobody um, in a dire position in the moment. But I made it my business just to go pay it forward, just doing something kind out of the heart. And I went and I done that, and I went and done it. And then I'm not gonna be like, yo, I did X, Y, and Z because that's between me and that individual. But I just done something out of at the act of kindness because that's something that I received. And I want to show you that it's super, super impactful on how we can affect one another, just being and showing sides of us that's just human, being genuine, paying things forward, saying that, hey, you know what? I can serve in a way that I didn't think I was able or I had the ability to do. And that was one of the things that he don't even know that he impacted me in that manner. I didn't tell him nothing about my podcast. I didn't get into yo, do this, follow me. I didn't do all that. I just said that, you know what, to myself, I'm gonna be able to give and pay that forward. Just giving the man a shout out in Roosevelt Fillmore, my man Matt. I think the store is JD, if I'm not mistaken, sneaker store. Good brother. So we're talking about purpose. We're talking about milestones. We're talking about how do we accomplish these things? How we gonna get to and from. Along our journeys, we always going to experience good, bad, or indifferent. Let me bring it to one of the subject matters, one of the topics that I would love to touch upon, which is the journey over the destination. It says, uh, training for a marathon. Some run to finish, others realize discipline, routine, and self mastery were the hidden prizes. Let me run that back one more time. That is super, super dope. It says, training for a marathon. Some run to finish, others realize discipline, routine, and self mastery were the hitting prizes. Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Some people running the race just to finish, to say that I finished the race. Who here has ran a race or done something in their life that you just look and seek just to finish without actually completing the task with some level of diligence, some level of discipline that was required? Did you do it efficiently? Did you proofread, pre-read? Did you do all of the necessary steps in order to get a desired outcome, whether it was desirable or not, whether it showed up in such fashion? Did you cover all of the facets? Did you cover all of the markers? Did you do everything that you could possibly do within your power in order to yield a result to the best of your ability? How many people have done their homework, and when they done their homework, they just scribbled it up real quick, mark A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down on the multiple choice. Pick A, pick B, pick C, C, D, E, F, G. Just finish the work to say that you done it and handed it in. Slim, what's up, loved one? I was one of those personnels. I was one of those personnels. Just completing the work to say that I done it. Finish running, rushing through the work just to say that I completed it. Didn't take my time to actually evaluate the work that I was putting out. That affected me. That affected me throughout my scholastic years when I was in school. That affected me throughout each year that I was in school, because I had a mindset of just finishing without actually having the levels of discipline and the self mastery put into my work, because I wanted my work to reflect in a way, like now, I want my work to reflect in a way of care, concern, discipline, love, passion, purpose driven. All of those things is what I want my work to reflect now. Back then, completion was the task. Completion was the task. Oh, I've done the work. I did it. To what degree? Who knows? But I did do the work. And then when I got back, the big fat zeros, the big fat F's, the 55s, the failures, I was like, I mean, but I tried. I didn't try, because those same results kept showing up every time, because there was no effort behind the work that I was doing. There was no care behind the work I was doing. There was no self mastery behind the work I was doing. There was no discipline behind the work I was doing. There was no, hey, I'm struggling in these areas and unwilling to ask for help in these areas, because I figured, hey, I could do this by myself, knowing that I was failing. What is super, super dope about these time periods? My mother got my second grade report card to this day. And when I get to the point of, I told my mother, that the day that I finish writing my book, when I intend to do a book, I'm gonna put that second grade report card inside of my book, right? Because I've seen this report card not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, a year ago, and I was so self conscious and embarrassed about my own report card that I looked like a failure at the time. I felt like a failure. Even now as an adult, I looked back and reflected on my second grade report card. And that's non-satisfactory, 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 incomplete, this, need to read more, need to do this more, need to do. And I looked at my report card and I'm like, whoa. And I learned so many lessons just being there, looking at my report card, watching my mom watch me look at my report card at this day and age. And she said, I still kept on to that. All of your works, all the things that you guys have done, I held on to, because these things were meaningful to me, because I was just proud of you guys of doing what you need to do. But also, when you get of age, like right now, you can reflect and see some of the things that you were up against, how you were performing as a student, the things that you were doing when you were at those time periods. Talk to me. Commercial? Okay, absolutely. Oh, we're gonna get back on this topic. We're gonna get back on this topic. You know what? Let me finish this topic, then we go right into the commercial break. But my mother showed me in a moment that, hey, no, be proud of who you are. Don't run from it. And I was willing to do. I said, Mom, I'm about to rip this up. She said, no, you're not. You was not going to rip up that report card. And I thought about it because I was so insecure, even at this moment. Like that's not who I am. And I'm like, that's not who I am. And although I may not be that person today, I was that person then. So I said, you know what? My mother didn't hold on to that report card for 30 years, at least 30 years. At least 30 years, my mother had my report card still pristine, still, it's still intact, is wild. So I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make use of it. I'm gonna take this report card and I'm gonna put it in my book when I decide to write one. And my first book, I'm gonna put my second grade report card in it because it's a reflection of how people believe in you. For one, the testament, my mother have nothing but ultimate belief in her children. And that's something that I'm gonna hold on to the rest of my life. It's because no matter how good, poor, no matter what was going on in my life, she was always there to support and always instilled the belief within us to say that, you know what, you got the capability. You got to try, you got to do the work, you got to be able to put that effort in. You can do it, but it's going to require work. Nothing's going to come easy. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I thought about. Now I'm like, okay, I got that. And then also saying that, hey, look at the improvement that you have made from second grade to now. There's so many wins that I can count that I can count. There's so many lessons, so many failures that I had. But ultimately, this is my journey, this is my testimony. And when I'm sharing this, why I'm sharing this is because you have the same type of testimony. If you start to think back and reflect on those moments and those times in your life where you had some level of disdain, dislike, shortcoming, some level of insecurity, when you're back against the wall, when you was embarrassed about a particular thing, or you felt like you was incapable, you was getting the inness, the non-satisfactory, you wasn't, satisfying the grade requirements in order to pass. You can reflect on those moments and show how you have improved. What were the steps that you have taken from then to now in order to show improvement? You have those testimonies. And I want you to bring those things out as well because we need to hear those things. That's why I come in here and I allow myself to be vulnerable because I love to be transparent because this is where the growth happens. When I keep everything as a secret inside, I don't get a chance to evaluate it from outside looking in, nor have the input of the insightful individuals that I'm speaking with to give me that level of feedback so we can converse and have great dialogue around our shared sentiment around who we are when it comes to the levels of improvement as people, human beings. I think these things are very, very important in our communities because they are things that we all experience, of course, during the course of our lives, to where we was maybe shameful, maybe embarrassed. These things happen, but we are human. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, but all of those things were lessons. Now I recognize that all these things were lessons because these are plain. There's a word serendipity. Oh, let me get to it. Let's play this commercial and I get back with the word serendipity. That's what we're gonna start with. Serendipity. Peace, beloveds. Thank you for tuning in to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and I appreciate your continuous support. Do you know that over 80% of the people that watch our channel aren't subscribed? By subscribing to our channel, you give us the opportunity to bring on more guests to add more value to our channel. To join our growing community, head over to respectfullygreat.com, sign up for our email list to get exclusive updates on empowering blogs, as well as the latest and greatest in Respectfully Great fashion. Once again, it's nothing but big love, and we value your commitment. Welcome back for the Respectfully Great podcast. That was our great, great commercial by none other, the sponsor himself, Johnny Reed. Go shop today at respectfullygreat.com. Also sign up to get your latest and greatest in blogs and fashion and all the wonderful things that help us and come together as joined by the hip community, but our growing community. I love it. I love it. I love you guys as well. And to continue to go out there and do our thing because we are great, great, bright, and insightful individuals. Back to the word serendipity. Here we go with the word serendipity. I've came across this word as of this year. Heard the term in the past, never paid any attention to it, but pretty pivotal in my life at the very moment because I'm able to relate to it on so many levels. So the word serendipity. Serendipity is where there are occurrences and happenstances, things that happen by chance for whatever reason, or an accident, whatever, they happen. And then in the moment, it looks like it doesn't serve you well. It looks like this is a bad omen, something that I should be shameful of. But in the end, happens to work to your greater good, happen to be something of value, something that works for you in the near future. When I'm talking about the word serendipity, there's so many occurrences that happen, such as my second grade report card that's going to serve a bigger purpose for me in the near future. That's what I mean about how our life is our testimony, how the marathon is always going to continue. Every day you are living, every day you are doing something, working towards something, even if you're doing it intentionally or not. Every day you are operating on some level of frequency doing a particular thing. So why not be intentional about it? Why not create purpose around what you're doing? Whether you take time out with your children, how could you sit down and make that pleasurable, memorable, something that's impactful for you and your family? If not for nobody else, for yourself for that matter. How can you make those shared moments with your loved ones, children, family, friends, companion, work, colleagues, business partners, television? How can you turn these moments into cherishable moments and memorable moments that you can hold on to, that can serve you in a way almost like the serendipity aspect in the near future for a bigger and greater purpose? How can we do those things when we stop looking for the negative and looking for the flaw within things? That's what I started to do. When I picked up the initial second grade report card, I looked for flaw and attached to the pain of what I felt at that moment. And I stayed there. I stayed in that pain for a moment until I got snapped right back out of it. My mother said, "Boy, you crazy. You better fold that thing back up real neatly. Put that thing right back in the envelope, boy. You better. I had that for 30 years. You better fold that thing right back up neatly. Go on about your business. Figure it out. Why do I still have it? There's a purpose behind it. That's what I mean about us, our stories, this marathon that we're running, the discipline, the self mastery. We can extract so many lessons from the things that we come up against. There's nothing bigger than us if we don't allow it to be. There is nothing bigger than us if we don't allow it to be. So that means we got to be thinkers. We got to be able to use different insightful measures in order to collect this data that we are gathering out there, which is our life, our testimony, and be able to apply it in areas and ways that it's meaningful to you first and foremost, and then start sharing that message along the way with other individuals. Because you don't understand that there's so many things that are helping people just by you telling your story. Just by sharing your story, you are helping so many people. And that's when I'm learning about how we come and converse, the daily interactions, the work that we do, taking pride in what we do, and saying that, you know what, I'm not looking for the reward or the pat on the back from others. I know what type of level of work that I put in. Because that's where it started. There are gonna be some people that never clap for you, that would never cheer for you, that would never show up in the manner or fashions that you would for them, or for that matter, for any other individual, because it's hard for them to show up for themselves. So we expecting to get some of this, reward from air lights, or the media, the television, from friends, people, places, things, loved ones, environment, co-workers, business partners. We expecting everybody to show up in a manner, in a particular fashion. And when they don't, it's some level of pain or disdain in the moment that we hold on to. And this is the areas where we got to take a very, very close look and say, I don't want to stay and live in that pain at the moment, or that disdain, that dislike, because I'm mastering thyself. So I'm getting more familiar with me, who I am, my purpose, and start extracting what I'm learning along my journey. Because you're not in it for only today. You are in it for the marathon. Drop the link. Drop the link. Absolutely, loved one. The link. The link is at respectfully great. Let's get it. The moderator, Lizzie, can you drop the link to respectfullygreat.com? Drop the link to respectfullygreat.com. There's so many things that we can. Thank you for that, Ellie. There's so many things that we can learn along our journey. So that was one of the things about having that journey over that destination, being purposeful in the journey, creating that purpose out of our journey. Let's go into the next segment. Internal conflicts, imposter syndrome. Have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome. Can anybody identify before I get into it? Do anybody know what imposter syndrome is? I'd love to hear your takes within the chat, because how we define things is how we understand them to be. So one thing I learned, I always mention Coach Lucky, because I learned so much through my brother um about the etymology of things and where the origins of things and how they come to be. It makes me think about things in so many other ways about how things start. And it makes me think about where things come from. Because if you don't know where things come from, you won't have a rooted found knowledge in what you are doing, because we only surface level. Was super, super profound. I was watching it's on Netflix. It's called all the children or something like that. Lizzie noticed as well. She know the special we were watching. This is super. This is mind boggling. So I'm watching this episode about a plane crash that happened in the Amazon of in Colombia, in the Amazon in Colombia. So on this airplane, it was the pilot, it was his co-pilot, it was a mother, and the mother had 4 children. The oldest of her children was one girl that was 12 years old, and one of them was 8, other one was like 6, and the other one was like an infant, like 2, 3 years old, right? Around that age. They crashed in the Amazon. The mother died, the unalive, the mother was unalive, the pilot was unalive, and the co-pilot was unalive. You have 4 children under the age of 12 in the Colombian Amazon by themselves. I'm skip around. Do you know that those children, they put out massive searches? Right now, you can go watch the documentary. The documentary is so wild, but it's hour and like 30 minutes or so. Do you know that these children were in the Amazon in Colombia under 12 years old with the insect Lost Children? It's on Netflix. Lost Children. I recommend everybody go out there and check that out. There was in the Amazon with all types of predators, all types of insects, from gators, swamp, cheetahs, panthers, all type of animals out there that are predators, right? They wasn't out there for a day. They wasn't out there for a week. They wasn't out there for 2 weeks. They was out there for 40 days. Let me reiterate, because it's mind-boggling. They were out there in the Colombian Amazon for 40 days. Spoiler alert. You can go watch. I'm not gonna spoil it. You can go watch it. But long story short, when I'm talking about the life lessons that we learn, part of those children surviving was some of the skill sets that was taught and passed down to them from their parent, from their mother, when they were younger than what they were. Remind you, the oldest was only 12 years old. The mother used to take them out in the Amazon and show them what the plants were, what food they was able to eat, what insects, what trees they could eat from. She was teaching them rooted knowledge about the Amazon. And I thought this to be super, super profound about some of the life lessons that we get passed down to us that we don't know when they're going to serve us. We take these things and use them for granted because we think it's, frivolous knowledge. So when we have communication, we talk about some of the things that we disagree with in the moment. Indigenous kids, absolutely, Lizzie, indigenous kids. When we have these type of conversations with loved ones, family, etc., we tend to take these conversations as, we take it in vain. We don't really put that much emphasis on what it means to us in the moment, because we think it's like, I'm going about my business. Hey, come on before 9 o'clock because I said so. I'm coming on 12. Not knowing that, hey, the top lock gonna be locked, the windows gonna be locked, you be outside till the morning. Because I told you come home at 9 o'clock, so you stay outside to 12. That's why I'm telling you come home at 9. I'm gonna show you some level of discipline. So long story short, what I'm saying is that some things get passed down to us, unbeknownst to us. We don't know why they're being taught to us. Haven't really got explained to us, but they may serve us in a way that we may not know when or how is going to show up in our lives. So these children were in the Amazon for 40 days, and with the rooted knowledge that was passed down to them from their mother, they got through some of the trouble. They got through some of the worst times in their lives that they experienced up until that point, 12 years old. The documentary has so many other intricacies that you will be able to follow along with, and how the universe works in so many profound ways, and how the Amazon, oh man, it was wild. It was wild. Great documentary. I mentioned that to say that in our lives, we all have that same level of testimony. We all have rooted knowledge some way, somehow. Things get passed down through our DNA. Things get passed down through generations while we just do and operate the way we operate. There was a point in time where there was a village where we didn't have some of the things that we see now, these type of homes, etc., where our ancestors were village people. And when you have a village, the village have different individuals that occupy and do different things within that village. Some people are caregivers. Some people are the medicine man or woman or the shaman. Some people out there are, the hunters, hunter gatherers. Some people out there are, whatever. They're out there just serving or building, builders, etc. There's so many hats that people may wear within the village, but it's specific to people, place, things, skill set, rooted knowledge that was passed down through generations. And some things are innate in us that we may not be really aware of. Why am I so great at this skill set, or why am I why have a why have a rooted knowledge to want to know about biology, about health, about the body? Why do I excel at certain sports? Why do I have a high IQ when it comes to some level of sport? Why am I super intrigued about the universe and stars and astrology? Why am I, you know, so intrigued by the ocean and marine biology, et cetera, plant life, et cetera? So sometimes some of these things show up in our lives and we take it for granted because we're not really concentrated on that particular thing, but not knowing that these things will serve us in so many other ways throughout our lives. And what I'm saying is that if we start to zero in and get more familiar with who we are and what are our likes, what are our dislikes, what's driving me to do what I do. Question yourself. Ask yourself, who I represent when I look inside that mirror. Who do I want to represent when I look inside that mirror? What does family mean to me? What does work mean to me? What does finances mean to me? What does communication mean to me? Ask yourself some of these questions. And then once you start to do these things, you start to get rooted in some newfound knowledge that you wasn't aware of that was there maybe the whole time. What happens when you start tapping into that untapped knowledge? Doors will start to open up. Things start to make more sense. You said, man, I didn't know how to voice. I didn't know I could sing. I didn't know I could play a guitar. I didn't know I was musically inclined. I didn't know I was a book junkie. I didn't know that I'm a great listener. I'm a great storyteller. I didn't know this. Blah 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 blah. You'll find some things out about you that you never knew that were there because we were too filtered with the distractions. Distractions are the fillers. So the occupied time when we start finding that downtime and we need that dopamine hit, this is when we start to become impulsive and we start tapping into the media, start doing this, start doing that. And now our minds are cluttered in that time of space when we're supposed to be quiet, just listening, meditating, getting more in tune with oneself. These are the areas where I started to realize, oh, silence is really creativity. Silence is where creativity happens. There's a gentleman that was a chemist, and these sticky notes. This was created. This was created by a gentleman that was a chemist, and in his downtime, all he was doing was scrolling, doodling, doodle. Bright idea. How about I make sticky notes? That's where creation happens in silence. So we got to filter out some of the noise. Start listening to what's going on up in here, because we got the person that show up in this way, the perception to what people perceive you to be, the labels. That's the label guy or girl. This is who people, this is what we project out to the people because this is what we want the people to associate ourselves with, whether it's business, whether it's family, whether it's sport, whether it's interests, whether it's music, whatever the genre is, we like to be part of a community or culture. So sometimes, depending on what led us there, whether the influence of others may not really be our place of origin, may not bring that purposeful, driven intellect out of you. So now we in this occupied space where we really don't want to be at, but we created this persona for X amount of years, and now we stuck here because of what we built and what people associated us to be. Now we stuck here. That was part of my story as well. I got looked at in a particular way as this one particular individual because this is what I've done one small portion of my life, and then I got associated with this one particular thing for a very, very long time. I felt comfort in that, even though I didn't feel comfortable in it. I felt comfortable knowing that people can associate me with this one particular thing until I had to break away from it. But then when I was able to break away from it, I found something else about me that I didn't know. Some of the things that I'm doing now. Ooh, I like peace. Ooh, I like communication. Ooh, I like people. Ooh, I love growth and development. Ooh, I love challenges. Ooh, I'm willing to do the ice water challenge in the morning. I started doing things that I thought I would never do because I was too associated to one of the labels or the persona that I was attached to what everybody was familiar with. I was attached to that one personnel. And although these things can be good or not, if it's serving you in the highest level and you feel closely connected to it and you can extract some resources from these things, beautiful thing. Not telling you leave that behind, but if you're stuck in a position to where you feel like I just can't get out and I just feel like I'm hell bent and stuck to the table and my feet are, cemented on the concrete and I just can't move, maybe we got to detach from some of those labels and titles. So along our journey, this is where we start getting some of that value. This is where we start getting some insight. This is where we start understanding, okay, who am I? When you get that downtime, when you got the self audit, when you start to evaluate oneself, things start to open up and doors start to open up to a different portal. David, what's up, loved one? Things start open up to a different portal to where, okay, new insight, new growth is ahead of me. That's what happens when we start being still along our journey. Because every day it's a part of our journey. Every day that you are here in real time, it's opportunity. It's also testimony. It's also purpose. Now, can you associate what that purpose look like? It's all about designing because your purpose is design. We think that I'm just me, so everything's coming to me. It don't work like that. Things don't just come to you. There's work that's associated with that. There's something that people say. I forgot what book it was from, but they said, "Put yourself in miracle territory." I know the quote. Put yourself in miracle territory, meaning that give yourself the highest probability that the outcome you seeking or looking for can happen. Not saying that it's guaranteed, but if I want to be a swimmer, the first thing I have to do is get inside the water. If I want to be a swimmer, the first thing I have to do is get in the water. It's impossible. There's no way I'll be able to win a swimming marathon if I never get inside the water. I got to get on the track if I want to be a track runner. If I want to hit those, speeds and be able to break those records, I first got to get on the track. Yeah, you may not hit those top speeds as of yet, but get on the track. Start the walking, start the jogging, start the running, pushing yourself, start the training, start the eating. All these things are a combination of things that we can put together in order to become. So every journey, every testimony, everything that you come up against, every experience, every occurrence, every happenstance, every serendipity, things that we see as misfortune in the moment, it turn out to be great fortune at the end. All of these things are calculated, mixed in a conundrum, big old pot that's mixed up together, the big old gumbo pot to make you. Now, this is where you can extract purpose from of those things. Powerful. Let's get down to we was talking about imposter syndrome. That's what we missed out on. But if we didn't get to what imposter syndrome is simply that thinking that you're an imposter, thinking that you're a fraud, thinking that you're not showing up as the person that you intended to be. Meaning that, hey, I went to school to be a doctor, and I did all of the studies. I got the credentials. Now I'm in the field of actually being a doctor. And back in my mind, I'm really not that, person that I tend to be. Something is drawing me back because I don't think I'm qualified enough to be the doctor. Although you got all the credentials, that's imposter syndrome. When you're on that basketball court and playing basketball, shooting hoops, yeah, you have all of the talent, prodigy. You was great your whole life, and you got that you can perform. But you get outside on the court and you shell shot. Now you like, what? Maybe I'm not that good. Imposter syndrome, thinking that you're a fraud, thinking that you're not the person that you showed up to be. That's what some of us fight with. That imposter syndrome. There's so many things that we know who we are, but when you know who you are, you don't have to fight on trying to struggle to believe in who you intend to be. You know who you are. So that's what we got to be able to encapsulate and know that, hey, this is who I am. And show up as that person every day. Show up as that person every day. If that's who you intended to be, there are going to be things in your way to try to stop you from doing that. You're not qualified enough. You ain't do this long enough. You ain't even hit your last bucket last time. You shot over 50. You shot up. You took 50 jumpers. You missed all 50. You ain't that person yet. So how can you possibly tell me something about learning, growing, teaching about this field of expertise, and you can't show up like it every day? Imposter syndrome. That's some of the conflicts we up against. Affordable car rentals, sub level one in the building. Affordable car rentals. So imposter syndrome. This is some of the things that we deal with when we think, or when we think who we are, when we think we know who we are versus knowing who you are. That's the difference. That's when you start dealing with a lot of the imposter syndrome. When you start feeling like, okay, I'm showing up, but I really don't feel like I'm qualified to do the thing. That's what happens along our journey at times. Shifting dynamics. How hitting a milestone change how others treat you. Ooh, this is fire. That's perfect timing. Everything's in perfect alignment. Affordable car rentals, me and affordable car rentals. My cousin the other day were building, and we actually conversed about this very thing right here. About this very thing right here. Let me say it one more time before we expound on it. Shifting dynamics. How hitting a milestone changes how others treat you. We were talking about business because everything we talk about majority of the time is always family and business. And we were talking about business, and he's doing so many wonderful things from ground up in his business, and his counterparts from his position of where he was and where he at in his business. When he first had the idea about doing what he's doing, selling cars, everybody said, man, you crazy. There's no way possible you're able to do that. There's no way you're able to sell cars, until he bought the first car. And they said, man, you only got one car? You're not a car rental. You only got one car. How can you be how can you possibly be an enterprise or some of these other, car? How can you consider yourself to be a car rental spot with one car? Until he got two cars. And that turned to 5, 10, et cetera, et cetera. And we had this conversation literally about 2 days ago. And he said, what's so crazy is that in this game, in his business, in his field of expertise, he had a lot of people that doubted him, saying that there's no way you'll be able to do X, Y, and Z because you're not qualified to do it as of yet. You calling yourself someone as a car guy, car guru? Car guru. You got one car. Until 5 came, until 10 came, etc. And now the qualification is there. But how people treat him is a little bit different. So what we're talking about here is that although we deal with skepticism, although we deal with the naysayers, and people say that you're not qualified. I heard something from Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy said this: if you don't have proof, show proof of effort. One of my leading components that drives me is that although I may not be qualified in your eyes, depending on whatever your criteria is for qualifications, hey, but I'm gonna show proof of effort. I'm gonna show up every day and I'm gonna do the job with or without. And that's what's going to be the deciding factor in my life. Because there's going to be a point of time where no matter how much you say that I'm not qualified, I'm going to be qualified. Because you can't tell me that, hey, after 250 episodes, that I'm not qualified. Somebody can't tell affordable car rentals after renting out 100 vehicles, they're not qualified. You can't tell, you can't possibly go and talk to compatible consultants and say that, hey, after selling 100, getting people 100 individuals, 50, 100K, 20K, 30K, 50, 100, 250, after start getting these other individuals their bag, how could you ever say that they're not qualified? Well, my sister Quay get on and start speaking on the mic after her 200th episode. How could you possibly tell her that she's not qualified? She's not qualified. How? It's impossible at that time. But the thing is that you're always going to have the naysayers. There are always going to be people, places, and things that want to play on your capability. But if you still show up to do the job with or without and learn along your journey, that process is still documented because it's in real time that you're showing up. And although the episode of my podcast, some good, some bad, some mediocre, some excellent, the proof will be in the pudding after each episode because it shows that, hey, it's documented. Along the journey, this is why I can course correct, I can pivot, I can do all these other things along my journey, and we'll get there in due time. Affordable car rentals, my brother says, you have to laugh at people. Most of the time, the people talking, they never did anything. Ooh. Ooh. Absolutely. Absolutely. Round of applause for that. Round of respect. The round of respect. Most people that critique you and say that you're not qualified haven't done anything. Haven't done anything. But you know what it is? It's the insecurities because they don't feel the confidence within oneself to go out there and think that these things are feasible, that they're accomplishable. So a lot of times when they come up with difficult tasks and they can't get out their own way, the first thing they tell you is that you can't do it. We have a lot of people do that. You know why too? When people say that you can't do it, they tell you that and they build up this mindset around not being able to accomplish because you're not qualified for whatever their reasons are. But what happens is when you actually go out there and you do complete it, it proves that their theory was wrong the whole time. And that's what kills most individuals because now they got to deal with that guilt of they are scared. That's what Ellie says. They are scared. Absolutely, loved one. They are scared. They're scared to try. Absolutely. And that's where their road meets the rubber at. The tire meets the rubber meets the road at. Right there is where all of the friction starts for them. Starts and stops for them. Is because they can't get out their own way. So since it's an impossible task for themselves, they create the environment around other people and critique because they don't want you to succeed. Because now you prove their theory wrong or why they not, you make them look in the mirror now that they're not successful. So now it's a hard pill to swallow. So they constantly try to beat you down with no, you can't. There's no way. They keep pounding you with their vocabulary or negative connotations. They keep beating you down with all of the negative, words. They're speaking the negative of the tongue. They got, just bad energy, bad omen, bad all everything's around us is encompassed in bad energy and bad. So while they're rooted there, if you go out there and be successful in your own right, because you're not living up to their critique or their criteria, that's here nor there. But if you go out there and actually be successful, it's a hard pill for them to swallow. Because now the proof is in the pudding that those things are accomplishable. So no, the reason why that person isn't successful is not anybody else's reason. It's themselves. And that's some of the things why we got to be very, very careful on who we listen to. Be very, very careful on who we allow to have our ears and have our mind. Because when you start giving the power to other people and other things, whether it's vices, whether it's people, whether it's money, whether it's anything, if you don't have your wherewithal intact, somebody could come in and impede that. Somebody could come in and start putting false narratives in your own mind, make you start feeling self-conscious about the things that you're doing. because it don't have no meaning to them. Even though you in back of your mind, everything that you're doing is meaningful to you. You got a big why attached to why you're doing what you're doing. You got a big why to why you're doing what you're doing. With them, they don't even have a reason why they sitting around and just pointing fingers. They don't have no reasons why they doing that. We know the truth. So the most people that are on the net and they comment and they saying that you can't do this, you can't do that, is because those individuals not doing things with their lives. They're not creating their own purpose because they studying your life. How can a person be focused on their life if they on their livelihood if they worried about what the next person is doing? If they can comment about what somebody ain't doing, how can they possibly work on their purpose? They don't have no time to do it because their time is all engulfed in what you're doing with yours. While you doing and living your purpose and creating it, those other people are invested in your purpose as well. Just from the negative side, because they rooting for you to fail, so you can prove their theory wrong, prove their theory right. So you know what? When the negative come and the good energy come, take it all, because all it means that they paying attention. And that means you doing something right. If you get the negative with the positive, etc., you get no, they paying attention. That's all that means, and that's a mental note for you. So okay, let's keep going. Okay, let's keep going. That's one thing that's gonna add to my to my purpose. That's going to keep me going. That's something that's gonna boost me up to say, you know what? Let's go for the milestone. Let's go for this marathon. Let's keep running. Let's keep running. Let's learn as we go. Let's course correct. Let's just pivot. Okay, let's do self audits. Let's take some time out for ourselves. Take time out for our business. Let's put concentrated effort around and behind these things because we know they're meaningful to us. Once we start doing that, there's nobody gonna be in our way. Only people that can stop us is us. They're always gonna try to put roadblocks up because at every level that we come up against, we're gonna hit with some friction. The laws of inertia. The laws of inertia. Corin, what's up, loved one? Trauma care in the building. What's up, loved one? Trauma care 247 in the building. My brother Corin, go check out our podcast episode as well. So many insightful, dope thought perspectives behind trauma care. Yes. Yes. Let's go with, let's skip it down to the hidden cost of milestones. The hidden cost of the hidden cost of milestones. It says, sometimes reaching a goal reveals what you sacrificed to get there. Ooh-wee. That's a deep one. Sometimes reaching a goal reveals what you sacrificed to get there. Powerful, powerful, powerful. When we talking about reaching our goals, we're not talking about Illuminati. We ain't talking about Illuminati, right? We ain't sacrifice. We ain't making that type of sacrifice, right? We ain't talking about the Illuminati, right? But we saying that once you reach your goal, it reveals the sacrifice that you have taken to get there. I think that is super, super powerful. People misjudge about some of, let's take LeBron James, right? Broken many records, many titles, scoring titles, championships, USA teams, done so much, got schools, does so many philanthropy work outside of the sport, charities, etc. A model citizen to his family, father, husband, etc. Doing all these great things. And him being where he at in his life shows the level of sacrifice and the sacrifices that he had made in order to acquire and reach that status in his own life. It reveals who he is as a person and character. And I believe that when we get to wherever our destination is, it's going to reveal all of the time, the work, the effort, the blood, sweat, tears, the heartaches, the hardships, the wins, the victories, the small losses. All of these things are going to show up. And we're gonna say, wow, they made it through all of that. And look at them now. You could be proud of yourself of how your destination drove your purpose. You could be proud of yourself of how your destination and your why, where you going, drove your purpose. And that's some of the sparks that we need along our journey and the reminder of us to keep going. In the words of my brother, keep going, keep going. Jeff Moore, keep going. My brother Jeff Moore say it all the time, keep going, keep going. That's what we're going to continue to do, is just keep going. Powerful. Let's bring it to a closing reflection. Let's bring it to a closing reflection. Although we have challenges, struggles, value is what we're looking for. Although we have challenges and struggles, value is what we're looking for. There's so many valuable things that you can take from your life, from other people's lives, from the purpose, from getting you to that destination. What we want to do is be able to utilize that and play and pass that forward. Something as small as an enamel pen that my brother Matt passed on to me sparked something within me. He don't even know it. I didn't disclose what I do, any of that, because I felt like the interaction at that moment wasn't for that at that time. I was still going to cross paths because I know where my brother is at. But he sparked something in me that it's a constant reminder of how we got to be people to show up and pay things forward and not be selfish in our interactions, in our daily mindset. We can't be selfish to the point where we're unwilling to help, because there's gonna be a day, a time, and place to where um you're gonna need some helping hands. Ideally, you got to go out there and put that work in yourself, but it's a concerted effort by a team. You only can get to where you're trying to get to by self, and you could be you can be super accomplished too. Don't get it twisted. You can be super accomplished by getting to where you need to get to by oneself. Right? It's possible. But I know that you make more of a tremendous impact when you can do things together and showing unity and being synchronized at the hip. I know there's so many more people that you can touch and interact and help and spread the message wider when you got more helping hands. So what I learned about that value aspect, what I learned about value is that you got to pay value for it. Find the value, extract the value, pay the value for it. That's what I learned from that small lesson from my brother Matt. This is some of the lessons I learned from having interactions with my mother. This is some of the interactions, some of the things I learned by dealing with my peers and their businesses and the things that they got going on in their lives. From my nieces, nephews, companion, all of these individuals in my life, my internet family, all of these things, my direct community, respectfully great, our community, our town, our community there. Shout out to Slim Milan, Power, great community event the other day. Powerful. In real time, these things count. All of these things count. And these are the reminders that I see to say, okay, we know there's something of value here. And being able to pay those things forward is how we start getting more hands involved. So this was primarily the message of these milestones, that we can hit these milestones. It's a continuous journey. It's a journey that's going to come with some hardships and some victories, some losses and some gains, some days of not sleeping, loss of sleep, and some, sleepless nights, and some days where, we get nothing but beauty sleep. It will come with everything in between. And I want you to be purpose driven and don't get discouraged. Of course, we're gonna encounter some things that's not favorable to us. But one thing I heard from Byron Golden, he was saying that he doesn't assign a level of difficulty to things, meaning that he don't just say this is going to be hard, easy, etc. He should go out there and complete the task. You go out there and complete the task. So I want us to show up in every way that we can to be of value. Love yourself, love your love your neighbors, love your loved ones, and be purpose driven. Design your purpose. And there's nothing that's off the table if you don't take it off. Put everything on the table. Because when you put it on the table, everything is an option. But if you don't put it on the table, it's never an option. You can't go out there and be the swim champ. You never get in the water. You never get in the water, you can't be the swim champ. So today was a powerful, powerful, dope episode. This is our 25th episode. I'm super proud, super pumped and ecstatic. I love everybody that came and showed love and shared their thoughts and their sentiment today, which is beautiful. Whoever will see this on the back end at any other time, super pumped. You're loved, you are cherished, you are valued, and don't let nobody take that away from you. Because there are people that are working against you, and we don't want that to be a continuous thing for self, and let that be the roadblocker. We don't want that to impact you in a way to where it disrupts the mission. So we want you to continue to go out there and be purpose driven and do what you need to do, what's necessary in order to fulfill, your obligations as avatar in this world today. That spiritual being, that wonderful being, that purpose driven being. Love yourself. If I said anything that caused any discomfort, that um made you feel some type of way, understand that it wasn't with the intent to hurt, because we are human, right? So I also just want to be mindful and let people know that I don't come with the sentiment to try, or the agenda to try to hurt purposefully, because that's not my intent. My intent is just gaining some level of understanding and how we can get from one place to another and grow throughout the process. So that's why I come here primarily, so we can learn and grow together and build up this community. So if I said anything that made anybody feel uncomfortable to the point where you think it was intentional, or wasn't something that that, so you don't have to think about it later and say, was he not, whatever, you know tell you from hearing it from the horse's mouth that it's not my intent. If there's some things that you can extract from it, learn, grow through it, come back, share it, and let me know how it worked for you. Let's get out of our own ways so we can just be great individuals. Super proud, super pumped, and we down 25. Next week, 26. Next week, Thursday, same bat time, same bat place, 7 p.m. I'll catch you soon. Love yourself. Continue to go out there and be great. And don't let nobody tell you different. Respectfully.